Oh my God. Let's go back. The thought was so inspirational, I wanted to shout it from the rooftops. The next fix. Here we go. Hi, baby. I rubbed her neck. Hi, baby. Hi, baby, I said. I rubbed her neck. Oh my God, this is like painful. Okay. Maybe I should just slow down. I am back. I'm Dina Haynes, and I'm the author that's reading my contemporary romance novel called Neesa, the first book in the original reality book series. And I want to ask you, how are you enjoying my blooper session in the beginning of these videos and my sound effects? That's courtesy of my neighbors, and it comes absolutely free. I don't pay a dime for it. I know, it just sounds unbelievable, but it's true. I try to mix it up and keep it interesting and find something, make use of basically every part of the videos that I make, which, as you can tell, are completely imperfect. And none of this is scripted. I know, it's like so unbelievable, and especially for a writer. But yeah, I just kind of talk to you off the cuff here. If you've been watching from the beginning, thank you so much for being loyal and digging on my books. I appreciate it. And don't forget that there are links to the actual book that's available on Amazon, or if you like to read on Kindle Unlimited, it's available there. The links are down below. But if you're new, welcome. And now's the time to stop the video. Be sure to like it, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. And then go back to the beginning, because you're going to want to know who these characters are, because I'm about to drop some spoilers about chapter 25. Reuben is in Colorado. Woohoo! He took Neesa's advice, but he didn't tell her he was leaving, which probably wasn't the best idea. She's probably gonna be seriously pissed. But at the same time, Reuben is searching his father, which is something that he's been putting off for too long. And funny how life circumstances, forced him to follow this path all the way. I always think it's best to confront things head on. I mean, that's after years of, obviously making mistakes and having stuff happen, but my years have taught me that the best way to get through problems or to get over problems is to go through them. You just can't put them on the back burner, because the universe just has a way of making you deal with them. So let's get on to chapter 27, where we're going to find out how Neesa's reacting to Reuben's sudden and unexplained absence. Chapter 27, Neesa's perspective. Claire had talked me down from sheer panic over dinner when I barged in on her and Calvin on a weeknight. They took pity on me, knowing I didn't want to be alone with my thoughts. Too much of Ben's stuff was at home. The spare closet with his clothes, his fancy coffee maker with his favorite caffeinated caramel latte flavored pods, his scent on my pillows and in my sheets. They offered to let me spend the night, but I refused out of pride. The whole night had been an exercise in keeping it together. I showed them the worry, but not the anguish, saving my real emotions for when I was home alone. Enola was there to greet me with love and enthusiasm, if not a little fuss, since I walked through the door well after midnight. Poor thing had emptied her food bowl hours ago. I headed for the kitchen, grabbed a Greek yogurt for myself out of the fridge, and replenished her kibble. I tossed my blazer on one of the stools at the kitchen island and plopped onto the couch in the adjoining den. Enola joined me a few minutes later and pounced, giving me doggy kisses in the air when I held her at arm's length to keep her from planting them on my face. She reeked of dog food as she licked her chops and snuffled. "Hi, baby," I said as I rubbed her neck, then took a bite of yogurt. "You miss your daddy?" She twisted her head at me, waiting for my daily update. Really, she wanted my yogurt, and what do you know? I had suddenly lost my appetite. Now that I was alone, I felt truly alone, unwanted, abandoned. How could he up and leave without saying a word? No discussion, no warning, no response to my calls or texts for hours. I was so angry when he finally did respond, but without him here to take it out on, I began to cry. Dismissing my yogurt, I tossed it on the side table next to the couch and leaned my face into my hands. The deathly quiet of the den embraced me as I unleashed the swirling emotions I hadn't wanted to share with Claire and Calvin. Enola's paws pressed into my thigh and her whiskers tickled my hand as she sniffed me. "I broke him," I sobbed to her. I knew it was more the situation than me, but I still went inward and wallowed in my shitty party. It was easier to accept that I had pushed him away rather than accept the possibility he never loved me to begin with. That the whole relationship was a con from the beginning, like Tyson and Kenny. If this were true, it proved I hadn't learned enough to shift the pattern in a new direction. And if things couldn't get worse, I realized Annabelle had been more right than she might have known when she said I needed unconditional love. Had I, on a subconscious level, expected to get that from a child? I knew all too well the responsibility that came with raising a person after co-parenting my baby brother. Knew that I couldn't rely on a man or anyone else to give me unconditional love. And babies, they just grew up to become independent-minded adults who may or may not love you, depending on how you raise them. I gazed into Enola's eyes. "It's just you and me, Nola. My dog and me. That's it. That's why I did so well on my own. Before letting someone else into my life, I handled my business. I made sure I felt secure and nourished and happy. I did all that. I love myself better than anyone had ever loved me, so why was I looking for someone else to do it?" A cool breeze of revelation came over me, sweeping old and antiquated ideals out of my headspace. My heart stopped racing, my breathing evened out, and the room popped clear into focus. All I had to do was acknowledge that I was enough, and I felt instantly better. The thought was so inspirational I wanted to shout it from the rooftops. The next best thing would be to post it to my social media. But the idea felt preachy to me, like I'd water down the message and attract a few trolls in the process. The message was meant for me. I'd heard it so many times in so many different ways, yet I never paid attention before. I was ready to hear it, and it sunk in because it came from within. Organically. I sighed in relief as the tears dried up and I wiped my face and blew my nose with the tissue from the box behind me. My love for Ben still remained. This didn't erase the fact that I wanted Ben in my life. Now that I didn't need a man to love me, I realized I wanted a partner, one to have experiences with, to add another perspective on things, and to keep me company as we grew old together. I still believed humans were driven to mate for life. I just needed to adjust my criteria. My life needed enhancement, not a make or break, do or die situation. Just the reminder that I was a capable badass took some of the weight off my heart. Even without Ben, I had love in my life for my family, my friends, and most importantly, me. And if it was enhancement I craved, could Ben give that to me? I thought so. Ben just needed to believe it. Perhaps he stepped back into his old life to remind himself what he'd been missing. Our whole relationship hinged on what he'd say when he got back from his trip. I couldn't keep going round and round in my head about it, making myself crazy when he wasn't here to explain himself. What I wanted was to go a couple rounds with him in the verbal ring and pray he had the answers I wanted to hear to go forward in our relationship. Our future was set due to the baby between us, but would we walk it hand in hand or side by side? Or would he opt out, forcing me to go it alone? Exhausted from crying, I scooted down in the cushions, pulled a fleece blanket up to my neck, and fell asleep. Well, that was a quickie, guys. That's the end of chapter 27. So if you like this content, please like the video and hit subscribe and the notifications button, and tune in for the next chapter because you're not going to want to miss it now that we're heading toward the grand finale.